Good evening and welcome to the ITV News in London. Tonight's main stories. £10 pollution charge in London from October. The air will be less toxic, but for drivers with older cars, it'll be more expensive.
People can't afford it as it is to come in here, park, pay for their diesel. It's too expensive.
Small shops and pubs under threat from big rises in business rates. We hang out with Sutton United's captain on his final day at work before his big FA Cup clash on Monday. And bridging the plie gap, the ballet company ensuring everyone gets a chance on the big stage. Good evening. If you drive into the congestion charge zone and drive an older car, there could be a major roadblock ahead. It'll cost £10 a day on top of the current congestion charge, which will leave a total of £21.50. The Mayor announced the Tcharge will start in October. It's meant to clean up the filthy air we breathe, and it means any vehicle older than 2006 will be charged extra. It's thought 10,000 drivers a day will be affected. Luke Hanrahan reports.
Shrouded in a toxic cloud, the capital's air pollution is estimated to contribute to the deaths of around 10,000 Londoners a year, all breathing harmful levels of tiny dust particles and dangerous gases.
What's your name? Jen. Nice to see you.
Today, the Mayor announced his latest measure to combat it. From October, there will be a £10 daily charge for all cars built before 2006. It'll be called the Tcharge.
It's the poorest Londoners who drive the oldest cars, and they are the cars that will be targeted by this tax. Do you accept that?
I think it's an outrage. It's the poorest Londoners who suffer the worst air in London. I think it's an outrage that the poorest children breathe the poorest airs playing in playgrounds in London. I think it's an outrage the previous Mayor and the current government are failing to take action. I intend to take action.
Drivers owning old cars will now have to pay both the £11.50 congestion charge and this new £10 Tcharge each time they drive in.
Well, I've got a Peugeot. It's a Y-Reg 02, and it's ridiculous. It's a good car. It's done nothing, you know, with plenty of mileage on it, everything else. We're just getting persecuted all the time.
It's going to affect me and my business because, as you can see, this van is 11-year-old.
So is it fair? After the VW emissions scandal last year, tests were done on vehicles built after 2006.
An independent government report commissioned last year found that many cars built after 2006 were as bad, if not worse, than those that will be subject to this Tcharge.
Well, the problem we have is that some of the newer diesel cars are actually worse for pollution.
Simon Alcock is an environmental campaigner. He says all of the worst polluting cars should pay this tax.
Some of the diesel cars not included are actually more polluting than some of the ones that are included. We agree with the Mayor, let's ditch dirty diesel, but let's ditch all dirty diesel.
The capital will have to get used to this, because for the Mayor, this is just the beginning. The Tcharge will precede the introduction of the ultra-low emission zone, which comes in 2019, taxing all of the worst polluting vehicles to protect the health of Londoners. Luke Hanrahan, ITV News.
Well, if that's left you wondering if you'll have to pay the new emissions charge, then please do go to our website where you'll find an online vehicle checker. You can also check the pollution levels where you live. Just search online for ITV London. There are warnings today that thousands of London's independent shops and smaller pubs are at risk because of a big increase in business rates. In some parts of the capital, bills could more than double. On top of rising rents and other bills, there's a danger we could lose some of our favourite small traders, as Ria Chatterjee reports.
Paul Gardner's son jokes he's a madman in a pit. And family is important. It built this business.
Does she know what size?
In 1870, Paul's great-grandfather opened Gardner's as a scales shop.
The very first day I left school, I came up the shop, and I've been here ever since, 45 years.
So it's your life, really?
Yeah, I love it, really. I never really get fed up here. I always look forward to coming to work.
Fridays are particularly busy, but Paul wonders for how long. The value of this property has jumped from £18,000 in 2010 to £40,000 now. He'll have to pay around £6,000 more in business rates.
You know, there's not much future really, I'm sorry to say.
What's it like for you to have to contemplate that?
Well, it's pretty horrible.
Business rates are a commercial version of council tax. They haven't been updated in 7 years. The government says small businesses in London will benefit from a £1 billion relief fund to smooth the sudden hike.
So it makes actually retail in London uneconomical. They're working on very, very small margins, and this is really just part of the tipping point that's going to make people leave. And then what will happen is they get turned into residential and we're going to lose our high streets.
Well, this is our plays room.
The managing director of this bookstore thinks that's already happening. The Samuel French bookshop in Fitzrovia will close after nearly 190 years in business. It can't afford to pay the 200% rent increase.
It's hard to compete with bigger multi-unit businesses. It's about picking your spot. Central London, of course, just is that much harder, I think, because the costs are that much higher.
How on earth do you find anything in here?
It's just like, I suppose, years of experience.
The government says it's right that they bring out-of-date rates in line with property values. But for business owners like Paul, this makes for a great deal of uncertainty. He hoped to pass the shop along to his children, but now worries it's financially unviable.
I must have 200 kinds of bags here. But
Ria Chatterjee, ITV News.
Well, as Ria mentioned, small pubs are facing big increases as well, and the Kenton in Hackney will pay almost £6,000 extra a year. I'm joined now by Maddie O'Shea, who's the manager there. Maddie, thanks so much for joining us. Will this level of increase, will it impact your business?
It will, definitely. It will impact businesses around here locally, smaller businesses. We're a pretty small independent business ourselves. It really is just kind of battening down the hatches and just hoping for the best, really, and just continuing to work hard.
In terms of battening down the hatches, does that mean that the costs will now be passed on to the consumer in terms of the price of drinks and food, for example?
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely, we'll have to look at increasing our prices. That's not going to go down well with customers. It's just not good all round, really. And we've worked really hard over the years here to build up this business, as many other people around here have done. Hackney wouldn't be the borough it is now, basically, if it wasn't for small businesses like us. So it's a real shame. It's going to hit everyone really, really hard.
Do you feel as though London should be seen as a separate case when you're looking at changes all across the country, and especially where independent businesses are concerned?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't hear that.
That's OK. Do you think that London should be seen as a separate case in terms of rises that are affected all over the country? Because London is obviously very expensive. Do you think we should be a separate case?
Absolutely, absolutely. London is a completely separate entity to the rest of the country, pardon me. It's really unfair to increase the prices here, lower the prices everywhere else around the country. It is going to have a devastating effect. It's hard enough just to get by as it is in London alone anyway, and to start a business and keep businesses running like the one I do here. It's not looking good, basically.
Are you quite worried about it, Maddie?
I am personally, yeah, very worried about it. All we can do is continue to work hard. We've done very well over the last couple of years. We've won numerous awards, Time Out awards. Just a couple of years ago, we were voted the most loved pub in London. I mean, all that work could completely go down the drain just because of these hikes in business rates. And many other businesses around here will definitely, they will not survive.
OK. Well, Maddie O'Shea, thank you for taking time to talk to us.
No problem. Thank you.
Leighton Orient captain Liam Kelly has been charged with violent contact by the Football Association after pushing a ball boy to the ground during their game with Plymouth Argyle on Tuesday evening. Kelly shoved the boy while attempting to retrieve the ball during the 86th minute, but the incident wasn't seen by match officials. The player was given until 6 o'clock this evening to respond to the charge. The father of a young student who died after she took MDMA at a party at the O2 paid a loving tribute to his daughter today at the inquest into her death. A statement read out on behalf of Emily Lyons' dad said her death was such a waste of life. Here's our senior correspondent, Ronke Phillips.
At the back of the group with the beard, Emily Lyons' father Steve arrives at Southwark Crown Court for the hearing into his daughter's death. The 17-year-old, who was a student at Esher College in South London, collapsed and died after taking MDMA, a form of ecstasy. The inquest heard the teenager and a group of friends had clubbed together to buy the party drug before heading to this event at the O2 in June last year. Police detectives Scott Albert and Joe Brown told the court that each of the teenagers took 1/4 gram of the MDMA on the train to the venue, but Emily then went on to take more. DC Albert told the coroner it was as Emily and her friends approached the security area at the arena that she became increasingly concerned that she'd be caught with the drugs and decided to take the remaining amount. It meant that she'd ingested twice as much as her friends. Emily, who began feeling unwell almost immediately, collapsed a short time later and was taken to the medical area in the arena. She lost consciousness and died at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. In an impact statement read to the court, her father Steve said, "How do you sum up a daughter in a couple of sentences? It's such a waste of life." Earlier this month, Luke Villas was convicted of supplying a Class A drug and given a suspended sentence. The coroner offered his condolences to the family and ruled Emily's death was due to MDMA poisoning. Ronke Phillips, ITV News.
We are watching the ITV News in London. Still to come. The builder and Sutton United captain, his biggest job, the FA Cup and Arsenal. And the ballet company breaking barriers, a dance into the studio. Before that, it's a well-known fact that we're all living longer, but a growing elderly population means many more people are living with dementia. There are around 72,000 people who have the condition in London. And with cuts to daycare centres, the Alzheimer's Society is asking all of us to be more aware of the needs of those who have it. Jenny Longdon has been looking at shops, cafes and museums which are becoming dementia-friendly.
Living independently can be difficult as you get older, but if you're living with dementia, it can make everyday tasks more puzzling. 84-year-old Sheila Cooper has lived with Alzheimer's for 5 years.
I go to give somebody some money for my shopping and I ain't given them enough of what I've bought. And it's just things like that. You don't wear a tape or anything that says that I've got Alzheimer's, please be patient. You don't wear anything like that, so it's just that it's life. You've just got to face as it comes.
Sheila still manages to lead an independent lifestyle. She lives in Lewisham, one London borough which is working towards having dementia-friendly status.
Oh, OK, so you're the opposite direction.
Yeah. This park has trained staff who can help people with dementia. In Blackheath, this cafe encourages customers to reminisce about the past. But as social care funding has been cut by nearly £5 billion in 5 years, people are concerned that initiatives like this will replace other services. Jeanette Darrell's husband has dementia. She says cuts cause carers to suffer too.
I couldn't really say to him, your day centre's closed down, because he wouldn't have understood. And it was shortly after that he had to go in the home.
And how did it affect you as well?
It was worrying because the 3 days that he went to that day centre gave me time to myself, if you like, to do things that I want to do and try to relax a little bit.
We've had year on year of budget cuts, and what that's meaning is that people with dementia on a day-to-day level are not getting the vital support that they need to live, to get up in the morning, to have breakfast, to have a wash. This is really important, and a dementia-friendly community won't solve that. But with growing numbers of people with dementia, with an ageing population, we need everybody to rally round and do what they can so that people with dementia feel included and supported in their communities.
72,000 people in London are living with dementia. Support and a friendly face in the community can make all the difference. Jenny Longdon, ITV News.
On to sport now, and Chelsea manager Antonio Conte has confirmed that one of his players could soon be on the move.
cannot believe he spent the whole match on the bench.
Are you ever going to get off the bench?
Selco, sponsoring ITV London Sports Report.
Ahead of his FA Cup clash tomorrow against Wolves, Conte admitted that forward Dominic Solanke is likely to leave the club. The player, seen here with Wayne Rooney, has reportedly asked for £50,000 a week. He looks likely to go when his contract expires in the summer.
Solanke now is a Chelsea player, but the future, I don't know his future. I wish for him and his family the best.
Is he leaving Chelsea?
But I think I'm not sure, but I think this is his will.
Arsene Wenger today admitted he might not be in charge at Arsenal next season. He's come under pressure after a disappointing season which saw them lose 5-1 against Bayern Munich in the Champions League on Wednesday.
Even if I go, Arsenal will not win every single game in the future, you know, that's part of it. You have to accept that as much as it hurts to lose games, as much, if you look at the history of Arsenal had less Champions League game when I arrived than I had in my career already. So, and since we have done a few, so I hope that in the future we can win this trophy, or Arsenal can win this trophy. But it's not like before I arrived, Arsenal has won 5 times a European Cup. They've never won it, you know. And they played maybe 10 games in the whole history of the club. So you have as well to take into perspective some demands.
And Arsene was also asked about his FA Cup clash against minor league Sutton United on Monday. He says it will be a very important game, equally as important, or possibly even more so, for the players at Gander Green Lane, Sutton's home. It'll be the club's biggest game ever, and yet today was a normal day at work for the players. Captain Jamie Collins is a builder who was on site ahead of his big moment, as Warren Nettleford reports.
Whilst Premier League players drive fast cars, it seems Sutton players steer wheelbarrows.
Jamie Collins, number 6, captain, builder.
The captain has already made his point.
And Sutton have something to shout about now!
It was his penalty that secured victory in the last round against Leeds. When he's not dominating on the pitch, he's grafting on the building site.
It helps slightly. I think it takes your mind off football. It obviously keeps you physically fit. But no, it just breaks it up really. Sometimes if you do the same job day in, day out, it gets a little bit boring. But obviously I'm working 3 days on this site and 2 days at training, so it obviously helps mentally really.
This is what FA Cup dreams look like. Non-league Sutton FC discovering they'll face Arsenal in the FA Cup 5th round. But before that glamorous game against some of the biggest names in world football, the daily reality. Teamwork comes naturally to Jamie, and the banter in the changing rooms is often replicated with his colleagues on the site too.
Give him plenty of stick, yeah, you know, but he works very hard. He's a good lad.
Yeah,
good lad.
And to be honest, on the Friday before he scored that penalty, I actually give him a lot of team talk advice about stepping up. If you get a penalty, smash it back in net, and that's what he done.
You're taking full responsibility, are you?
No. Partly a tad.
They'll need more than a little help this time against Premier League high flyers Arsenal. But with the North London club reeling from a midweek thrashing against Bayern Munich, maybe now is the time to create a truly magical FA Cup moment.
You could say that, but you could also say that we could get the backlash from that. And if he plays the first team, obviously a disappointing result Wednesday night, they could come and try and take it out on us, which will be obviously difficult. But look, every little advantage we get, we're going to take and bring on Monday.
He may sound understated, but make no mistake, this is the biggest game in the history of Sutton FC. In the last game, his goal made all the difference. With his colleagues' support, Jamie Collins is hoping to do it all again. Warren Nettleford, ITV News.
Now, the world of ballet has long been criticised for having a problem with diversity, from ballet shoes which are only available in beige and pink, to productions like Swan Lake being traditionally performed by those with white skin. Historically, it's been more difficult for those with darker skins to get into and survive in the industry. But since 2001, dance company Ballet Black has been trying to change that. Let's take a look. they're performing at the Barbican next month, and we're joined now by its founder, Casa, and dancers Jacob and Tcharge. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
Casa, I'm going to start with you first. You're a trained dancer. Was it due to lack of opportunities why you decided to launch Ballet Black?
Yeah, in the beginning I thought, let's start a class where the teacher is black so that the students don't feel like they're the only black face in the room, and that grew into the company that started performing. And really the whole point of it was to make a place where role models could thrive and then be on the stage to inspire younger kids to take up ballet.
And what kind of reaction did the production get?
The very first show sold out, and it was really well received, and I think people really got behind the idea because they could see that there was a gap in the ballet world at the time. And from there, that's pushed us on through the last 16 years.
And has it been sort of a really good place to nurture and develop talent to then go on elsewhere?
Definitely, at different levels, either the professional dancers, ballet teachers, choreographers, and now our kids in our school.
That's brilliant. Jacob, you've danced with the Royal Ballet and also the Central School of Ballet, and I believe you're now senior artist at Ballet Black. Is that correct? I mean, how difficult has it been for you historically to be able to forge and develop a career in ballet?
Well, I was lucky. When I was 7 years old, a company called Chance to Dance came to my primary school and auditioned us there, and I continued. I went to the Royal Ballet Lower School and then to Central School of Ballet, and I was always quite encouraged by my family and my friends and my peers.
Yeah.
So I've been personally quite lucky.
And did you know of any other darker-skinned ballet dancers when you were sort of 7-year-old and being in the Royal Ballet?
Well, always we look at like Carlos Acosta for a great example. There's other great dancers such as Tyrone Singleton, Eric Underwood, other great dancers. So yeah, always like good inspirations. Yeah.
And Tcharge, too, it's interesting actually that Jacob mentioned Eric Underwood, because I know that you've performed at the White House before in front of the President, which is pretty amazing. And I remember reading an article with Eric Underwood where he talks about the situation with ballet shoes and having to put foundation on the ballet shoes so that it is his skin colour. Is that something that you have to do as well?
Yes, because we don't wear ballet tights and it's just our skin, and obviously my skin is brown and the shoe is pink, and you want it to make one seamless line, so that's why the pink tights with the pink shoes, that makes a straight line. A brown leg with a pink shoe, you know, it's just, it looks a bit, you know, for the stage. So, therefore, we have to use makeup to make that pink shoe our skin color.
Does it frustrate you that we're in 2017 and there aren't ballet shoes for your skin colour and you're having to put foundation and powder on it?
I think so. It's time now. You know, a few years ago, I embraced it because it's like, you know, a ritual for my point shoes. You know, you color, you cut, you sew. But then after a while, it became a bit tedious. You know, I need a shoe that's my color. And not only me, there's different shades of brown out there, and we don't have it. It's not accessible to us. So it's just another effort that we have to put in to be presentable on the stage.
Well, Casa, tell us about the performances that you do at Ballet Black. Obviously, you've got the Barbican coming up next month. But when people bring up the example of Swan Lake, for example, and the uniformity of having white ballet dancers in white tutus, where do you stand on that debate?
I think that the uniformity should be in the choreography and the costumes, and that the skin colour of the dancer should be incidental. I don't think it should matter at all. That's why we have corps de ballets. Everyone's doing the same thing at the same time. That's where the unity is. It does not need to be in the skin colour.
And how about you, Jacob? Do you agree?
I do, yeah.
I mean, have either of you come across that before, when you've gone for an audition for something and you've realised actually your skin colour may not necessarily fit into this particular production?
I have, but I think I'm quite fortunate coming from the States. I grew up with a lot of people who looked like me, so I never felt that I couldn't do something because there was always someone a bit higher doing it. I felt it more when I came to this country, and there was a lack of people who looked like me.
Yeah. You know? Well, it sounds as if, Casa, you are breaking down doors and you're changing things. So wish you all the best of luck. So Casa, Jacob and Tcharge, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
The main headlines in London this evening. A new pollution charge will begin in October, the Mayor announced today. The Tcharge will cost £10 on top of the congestion charge. It'll apply to all vehicles older than 2006. And there are warnings today that thousands of London's independent shops and smaller pubs are at risk because of a big increase in business rates. In some parts of the capital, bills could more than double. Now, you can't fail to have noticed it's warming up, but will it continue? Fingers crossed. Here's Helen.
London Weekend Weather, sponsored by dsat, the ski rental network.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. Monday, highs of 17 degrees, really building on the already impressive temperatures of this weekend. And a lot of settled, stable weather to look forward to between now and then. So a lot of dry, sunny weather throughout tomorrow afternoon. But as the clouds part overnight, allowing for a fair bit of fog to develop. That's certainly the case over the coming hours. And as I say, where it's the clearest skies, that's where we get that mist and murk come first thing tomorrow morning, and a return of the greyer skies as well. So this does mean a fairly slow start to proceedings come Saturday morning, but nevertheless, well, that cloud and the associated fog will lift away. And into the afternoon, you can see that revealing beautifully clear blue skies overhead, some decent sunshine around, and highs tomorrow of 12 degrees, similar to today, but of course in the sunshine, feeling that bit better out there. Overnight tomorrow night, then the next spell of damp weather, but out of the way comes Sunday morning, and it will be a similar sort of flavour in the sense that it'll be grey, dull and a bit gloomy to start off, but everything much brighter into the afternoon. Moving forward then, well, you can see the bulk of that milder air in charge by the time we get to Monday, as a result really boosting temperatures, nudging their way up to 17 degrees.
London Weekend Weather, sponsored by dsat, the ski rental network.
Finally, on our website this week, love was definitely in the air on Valentine's Day, and even a Hollywood star managed to get pulses racing. Here's Chris Howes with In Case You Missed It.
This week, in the week of Valentine's, there were some very public displays of affection. Not least on southeastern trains, the rail operator displayed some romantic messages on information boards. Some were more eye-catching than others. Was this one yours? Happy Valentine's, Jack. Love from your woofy woos. And there were lots more, which you can read on our website. The latest guest to appear live on our Facebook page this week explained what it's like to be a woman with a full beard.
Well, I've had facial hair since I was around 11 years old, so when I hit puberty, but I decided to fully grow hair when I was 16 years old, so a good 10 years ago.
Parnham Kaur used to get bullied and spoke to us about how she helps others feel confident about their bodies. You can watch that interview in full by going to our Facebook page. It may be one of London's smallest houses, but this property has gone on the market for an eye-wateringly high price. Described as a proper gem by the estate agent, this two-storey house in Chelsea is all yours for £600,000. If you're interested, you'll also need to know it needs completely renovating. You can take a look inside and see what you get for your money by going to our website. Finally, born in Hammersmith and made famous by Hollywood, Tom Hardy's CV may be impressive, but rarely does the actor take on a role quite like this.
Hello, I'm Tom. I'm just doing some cloud spotting. If you look very carefully, you can see lots of different shapes in the clouds.
Tom Hardy took a break from playing the action villain to reading a bedtime story on children's television on Valentine's Day. Safe to say it wasn't just the children watching. Plenty of adults made sure they tuned in too, and judging by the reaction on Twitter, it left some rather hot under the collar. You can watch it for yourself by going to our website. We're also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search for ITV London. And if you've got a story, you can contact us at itvlondon.com.
Well, Chris Howes leaves me hot under the collar. Right, we're back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Ranveer Singh with the ITV Evening News. But for me and the rest of the London team, goodbye.